let's dig into design fees and that whole challenge because that's something that's weak in our industry where most people don't seem to charge for design when they really should be. So talk about design fees and why designers should make this move.
So first of all, what is a design fee? Design fee is whatever it is. So it's it's for your time and your expertise to produce some type of conceptual design and a proposal. Um, I say conceptual design. I want to drive this into your mind because I run into this to this point to this day. It's not for an as built. And by as built, I don't care again if it's a picture, if it's a drawing. You're not providing your prospects something that they can pay you for, receive, and then go get bids for. If any of you are familiar with landscape architects, they provide as-built that oftentimes are given to the homeowner. Then the homeowner goes out and gets bids from different landscapers. That's how that's done. We do a drawing. It is a conceptual drawing, meaning that it's not for that purpose. I have provided only 2 as-builts in my time since 2009. So it's very rare and often not necessary because the client is if I prepare an as-built, it's going to be 2 or 3 times more my conceptual design, and then there's a linkage usually of $100 an hour afterwards to help focus, which is necessary. So don't want to get off too much in that lane, but I want you all to understand that it's not just a drawing. You could do something on your computer. There's a lot of cool things out there. I have my reasons I don't do that, but preparing some type of design and then the proposal. As I told you all, there's no such thing as a free estimate because it's costing you all your time and your money. So I was just talking to you, mentioned my class. There's a gentleman taking the class who's actually, I don't know, Mark, what we call it, taking it online. He's watching the recordings, right?
Right.
So there's 2 types of way the design centric client relationship class is offered. It's live in a group setting in a Zoom call, or you can, for a lesser charge, just watch the 6 courses. And then I am meeting with him via just a phone call after every class to discuss. And we were really going over this. He is on the cusp. He's new to lighting. He's been on the installation side, but he's wanting to get his own business going. So he sees the value as I did. Your brain understands that you should be charging for your time, no doubt. It's finding a way to ask it and the confidence to ask it. And here's where you do kind of have to believe in it first. Like I said earlier, if you don't believe you're worth it, then the client will see through you like you're going all in with a pair of deuces. They're going to read that. I've just had them. When I first asked for a design fee, all I did was feel it was fair. And then I think, if I remember right, the person looked at me confused and said, well, why do you need it? And all I did was trip and stumble with a couple of my words, and it was done. I got no design fee. I got no job. Today, that I don't even get them asked. They don't even ask me why anymore. But my I did a little digging in our system. I will tell you, on my first design fee was $37.50 in 2009, $37.50. Because it was originally $75, but I gave them half off as a special promo because I was at a women's garden class where I had some slides up, and that was my big push, half off. And I mean, I didn't even know what I was drawing. I just threw it out there.
Blue light
But
special. Yeah.
yes, so 2010. Well, let me say this first. It doesn't matter how much you charge. It's just the most important thing is to start charging. So there's a gentleman in Blue Ridge, Georgia. We're all in our different stages of life. Man's got a family, a mortgage. He's 40 some years old. He's been in business. He's ran a very successful Christmas lighting business. he saw the value in it and he didn't hold back. His first design fee was over $1,000 right out of the gate. That is kind of what I would call it one end of the pendulum in my experience with mentoring different people on this through the years. Most start out more, $100, 200. You could be doing a lighting design for the front of the home, the sides of the home, and the rear of the home on an acre piece of property, and you might just charge them $75 a zone or per area. I will tell you, in 2010, which was the very first full year that I charged for and collected design fees, I sold 62 jobs and I collected a whopping $2,327.50. So there you go. I didn't even do the math on what the average was, but I did fast forward to 2024. I sold 71 jobs, and my total design fees for 2024 were $31,875. So even that number for 72 jobs is not crazy high. And that's probably just due to some of my head trasher could be lack of confidence. I kind of have found my rhythm of what I want to charge, and I base the design fee on what I think is my time to create whatever it is you're going to create. Pick a number. If you go out 30 minutes for the consultation and they're going to give you a check that day, but you may not have time that day, so you're going to book in about an hour of back and forth, a few hours to work on your drawing or your computer manipulation of a nighttime look, whatever it is, and do it at 100 an hour, do it at 200 an hour, do it at 50 an hour, but pick some way to gauge that so that when you give them a design fee number, you're not just pulling it out of your pocket. It's meaningful to you. And therefore, back to what I said, you believe it. If you don't believe it, they won't believe it. So I think I said earlier, the two things, one being the design fee. I can't remember if I alluded to it as making me a better designer. I think I did, but one of the things that made me a much better designer was simply asking for and collecting the design fee. Had nothing to do with knowing anything about lighting design. When they paid me money, I don't know if you all have had this in your background at all, but sometimes you'll meet a client, they seem all excited, you kind of give them a price of what you think it'll cost, and they'll tell you, well, let me talk about it with my husband, because he's not there, right? Because you didn't get them both there. I've done that plenty of times. Or sometimes they're both there and they say, we want to talk about it. We'll get back to you. You're like, and sometimes I drill down on them like, well, okay, that's cool. Get back to me. You thinking tomorrow, next month? Oh no, give us a couple of days. So then a couple of days go by, I don't hear from them, and then I call them and I go to what I had heard called voicemail jail, or now could be text jail. You text, you call, they ghost you. Well, it's awful, and over time, it affected me to the point where, and this was after I met with them. I apologize. This is after I met with them, did a design for multiple zones, and then I met with them for the proposal phase. That's when they tell me they have to think about it. Now, so by pushing that all up to the consultation, I do have the responsibility to give them a ballpark, and I use that word. That is very strategic or tactical. Ballpark. I don't say budget when I'm talking to them on the phone or when I'm talking to them before I go out to work on the ballpark. I say ballpark. In our part of the country, it's just folksy. It's just, people know what that means. But when I go out and I do work on that ballpark, I don't write ballpark when I give them a range. I write budget. So let's say zone A, front of the home, I might have a budget of 3,000 to 4,000 and a design fee right beside it. And then on it goes. Zone B, a range, or I'll say 5,000-ish, and a design fee for each zone. Once I come in and they see the pricing, we talk design, and they commit and they write me that check. It used to be before they would write me the check, I would go out and I would work on the design. And sometimes my own head trash would get in my brain and just tell me, they're not going to move forward with this. It's probably too much. This is going to be too much. So I took that and that affected my design. I just get through the design, do some path lights, do some up lights, do some area lights, maybe a down light in a tree, and just, it was repeat and repeat, same process, different house. But as soon as I got paid, two things happened. I felt that what I called earlier, that good pressure. It was pressure because they've paid you for something that you haven't produced. Are you going to produce something that's awful? Um, that's pressure. But it was good pressure because it pushed me to slow down. And I didn't have to rush. I no longer thought they're probably not going to do this. That didn't matter because whether or not they do it, they are paying me for this time. So slow down and do something spectacular. Do something thoughtful. Doesn't have to be spectacular, just thoughtful. And that caused me, that would backfeed into my consultations. Well, if I'm going to do a thoughtful design, I need thoughtful information. So I need to ask questions. Why light the front of this home? Why? Why do you want it lit? I told you I want it lit over the phone. Why? So it slowed me down. And I found myself just doing a more thoughtful design in every way. But then that in turn connected me to my design so that when I came back to them, my words were more thoughtful because I put the time into it. It wasn't like, here's some path lights for your step. Get down there. We're going to uplight your home, just like you saw over at your neighbors, like you talked about in that picture. No, no, no. You're slowing down. So you're more thoughtful. And sometimes I will find things in my design after I told them I was going to design it one way. Now I'm out there and I'm like, no, 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 no. We got to do this. I want to do this. And then I'll come back to them and I'll sit down after they give me the design fee and I'll say, listen, I changed some stuff a little bit here. Here's why. And I've never, that I can recall, had a client say, that is not what you told me you do. I sense more an appreciation from them that I took the time to think and give them a thoughtful design because in the end, we are the painters of light. They are not buying fixtures. They are buying you and reflective light. First, they're buying you. They give you a design fee. They're putting their trust in you. And I can tell you, last year, of all the design fees I collected, one client didn't move forward. So from a sales perspective, once you get that design fee check, the sale is over. And that is really like lifting weight off of your shoulders. You get a little design fee. I don't care if it's $200 or $2,000. But once you walk out with that check, that client has some information about the cost and they change too. I changed because I said good pressure, but also the freedom of being able to create. And there is no gamesmanship. That's over with. But I literally remember a client, a couple that was kind of cagey with me. And when they finally wrote that check, they changed like that, just like that. And I remember going outside, and I think one of them was taking the trash can out to the curb, and how they were treating me, which was unknown, you know, unknown person inside their home. Once they wrote that check, and they came outside, and I think the kids were out there. It was like, I don't want to say part of their family, but we were more friendly, but not too friendly because I'm not there to be their buddy. I'm not there to be their chums. I am there to do a job. And I want to respect that boundary and not get too close. But wow, it's just like, I don't know, Mark, I think in one of my classes I explained it's just like that first time it happened to me, it was just like warm water running over me as I walked out the door with, and I don't think it was the $37.50 check because I do remember that job and I had to do a huge design and I was just like, damn, 37 bucks. No, it was like maybe 100 or 150 for your typical kind of, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car front load garage ranch where I got 150, 200 bucks. And I was just like, wow, it was just a great feeling. And again, slows everything down.
That's awesome. Great. I love those stories. And you're right. It's all in the confidence building. by doing this, you're building your confidence, you're taking yourself to that next level. You find more freedom and in your abilities because you don't have that weight. I love that. That's great. Well,
And
thank you,
it
Chris.
doesn't have,
Oh, go ahead.
go ahead. No, I was
No,
just
go
gonna say,
ahead.
it doesn't have to, if you're coming from a more sales-centric uh, business, which I've spent plenty of time in, that kind of creates a momentum and a beast that has to eat. You sell, sell, sell. You got to sell more and more and more and more because the margins are tight. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And all these systems you put in place for, every 10 calls I make, I'm going to sell 2 jobs. And it's all about the speed and repeating and just grind, grind, grind. You need to, if that's your past or where you're currently at, you definitely can benefit. You can, there are companies I know that treat landscape lighting the exact same way, and they do very well. But I, from a designer perspective, it hurts my soul because I see the work they turn out and I see the jobs they probably don't get, and it's awful. And if you just slow down, you can have a much more pleasurable experience because you're not having to be out there in that rat race grind. Your clients will enjoy you more, you can enjoy them more, and you can make very good money and produce very beautiful work. And you don't have to be some high level lighting designer to do it. All you have to do is slow down and ask questions and listen.
Yeah, great, great points. Thank you, Chris. Well, we appreciate this time. I know we went a little over our budgeted time frame, but that's okay. I think we can split this up into two different presentations because it was great information. And if you guys are interested or if you know people in the industry that could benefit from this, please reach out to me or Ellie. And then what we'll do is we'll put you in contact with Chris. He does teach this class that's in much more detail over several weeks. And that can be done either in a live session, as he said, or in just a viewing mode, watching recordings, which is, showing participants as well. All right. Thank you so much, Chris, and we'll see
Thank you,
you soon.
Mark.
Thank you.